The following program is a PodcastOne.com production.
From Hollywood, California, by way of the Broken Skull Ranch, this is the Steve Austin Show.
Give me a hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Now, here's Steve Austin.
Lane Johnson is on the other end of the video scope. He's on Skype, right tackle for the world champion Philadelphia Eagles. 2017 All-Pro selection. How are you?
I'm doing good. We're back at OTAs in Philadelphia, so the new season is right around the corner.
Hey, man, did you guys, happy belated birthday. What'd you have a birthday a couple of days ago?
Yeah, a couple of days ago. Wasn't no celebrations. I had a couple of beers by myself at the house, and that was about it. Maybe do something this weekend.
How old are you now, 28?
28.
How you feeling?
Feel pretty good. Hey, every now and then you get those dog shit days, but I feel pretty good.
What does OTAs consist of?
So it stands for Organized Team Activity. So basically, if you get any new free agents, you get the new rookies, the new draft class coming in. That's where they come in. You work out and you learn the playbook. So whenever training camp rolls around, you know what you're doing. You're not going out there blind.
Hey, man, how long did it take you to pick up the playbook? Because, man, you were valedictorian of your high school class and over in East Texas in Groveton, Texas. Was it easy for you, the mental aspect of the game?
Yeah, I played quarterback in high school. Yeah, but really, it took me a little bit whenever I transitioned at tackle. It was my junior year in college. Just really the blocking schemes, the techniques. It could be drawn up one way, but if the defense lines up another way, there's different calls. So I say the offensive line, man, there's a lot of communication that people really don't, understand, about the game. So, we all have to be on the center's call, and if you're not, then you're messing up.
Hey, man, I was watching you. I was on your Twitter account on Lane Johnson 65, and you had a clip that you posted of you when you were mic'd up in a game. And, man, obviously, you're high energy, right tackle, very physical. How has your mindset changed as far as how you play in the game now as an offensive tackle versus when you were the quarterback? Because, dude, you played quarterback in Kilgore and in high school at Kilgore Junior College. We used to play Kilgore when I was in junior college at Wharton County Junior College. And we got our ass kicked every single time we went down there. And, we got our ass kicked every damn Saturday. That's just the way it was. But how has your mental approach changed or just how you act on the football field? Because quarterbacks seem like, hey, man, you kind of need that, like Carson Wentz or Nick Foles, that calm within the storm. How are you and how have you changed?
There was one guy that recruited me to OU. His name was Kevin Wilson, and he was the meanest son of a bitch I've ever seen. And practice was miserable. So I was, for the 2 or 3 years that I wasn't playing, I was miserable every day, and there's a lot of miserable people there with me. But one thing I didn't do, I never wanted to transfer. I was going to stick it out, and eventually, man, I was sitting at 275, 280, and I was playing tight end, and then I don't know if you know Bobby Jack Wright. He says that he's heard of you.
Bobby Jack Wright recruited me to North Texas State University as a linebacker.
Yeah. That's what he was telling me. So Bobby Jack got me on that side for a little bit. Played a couple games at DN, and then Mark Mangino at Kansas. He came to watch us. I think a spring practice. Him and Stoops are pretty tight. So. A few years, earlier, I think in 05, he moved a guy named Jamal Brown from deep tackle to offensive tackle, and he's the first-round pick. And so I was in the middle of a pass rush drill, and they switched me over, man, and I was stuck ever since. And as far as playing angry, man, I've failed a couple of drug tests. I know people don't like me, and I go out there and I try to just, pretty much floor people when I can.
Hey, dude, when you were coming up in Groveton, I know you threw the shot put as well. I threw the discus. I wasn't worth a damn at the shot put, but I could throw discus pretty good. It just seems to me, dude, with your long arms and your height, you'd been a hell of a damn slinger in the discus. No?
Yeah. So here's what happened with that. So I wasn't doing shot put at all. I was running the quarter and I ran the mile relay. I was doing that, and I did I think I was doing the triple jump. And I was working out one day. My buddies were out there, the linemen. I'm the quarterback in high school, and they're out there up around with a shot put. And they're not very good. I went there and chucked it, and you're gonna be in district. And I ended up going to state in it. And it's crazy how it worked. But I was wanting to go to state in the quarter. Ended up getting my ass kicked there at regional, so I ended up going to state and shot put, something I never did before. So it was kind of a weird deal.
Man, when I was a junior high, that's that first year we had organized track was in 7th grade. And so, man, I figured because I had this badass endurance, I was going to be a long distance runner. And so I was making my laps around the football field. It was kind of like, it was our track basically, but it was grass because it wasn't high school yet. And the dude was over huffing and puffing and throwing the discus. And it looked pretty neat. So I say, man, let me give that a try. So I threw the discus and out threw him. So, then I became a discus thrower and said, hey man, pissed on the long distance stuff. I'm going to throw the discus. So I kind of found it by accident as well. Yeah. And, ended up going to state and I don't know. I think nerves got me. I choked a couple of times, but if I'd have got off a good throw, I probably could have done some good, but I ended up falling into it, by mistake. Man, I was reading at the combine, way back in the day. You've been in the league, 5 years now? 6?
Yeah, 5. Going on 6, yeah.
You ran a 4.72 at the combine in the 40. So, dude, when you're talking about running a quarter and being on the mile relay team, dude, this is something I would expect out of a guy that's now, 6'6", 6'7", 325 pounds.
Yeah, so actually when I was in high school, I really didn't get my fastest till probably my senior year. My junior year, I probably ran a 52 quarter, and then at the regional meet, I think I ran low 50, high 49s. That was my fastest time. So, but at the time I was 6'6", 225. But yeah, I did it. It was just, my school was so small. I only had 35 people in my graduating class. We talked about being a valedictorian. It wasn't hard to do. I promise you that. So, yeah, I mean, we had a pretty good, football team. I played quarterback and free safety, so I, pretty much did, a little bit of everything. Showed steers, so it was kind of, it was the wild, wild west out there.
How did you end up being the quarterback? Was that just a position you wanted to play?
Yeah, I started that in junior high. Actually, it was kind of up for committee. The coach walks out there and said, "Who the hell wants to play quarterback?" Everybody raises their hands and get out there and see who can throw. And I've always been able to throw football pretty well, so I've been stuck with it. I started varsity my junior year. I had a good year then, and then had a good year my senior year. But you go to 1A school, they're going to overlook you. You got powerhouses in Houston and Dallas, and they're not going to go to a Ponuk town like, where I'm from. And that's just how it is. That's why I had to go to junior college.
Man, I tell you what, coming out of high school in South Texas, man, I was a running back. Dude, I was a 4.9 40 guy. And as you know, playing NFL, that ain't fast enough to run east or west. So I ran north and south. Yeah, and I only weighed about 205 as a senior, but down there in South Texas, I was a pretty good sized fullback. My line averaged about 165 pounds, so I made a lot of yards after contact. And I thought, hey, man, that's a pretty good player. All district, a couple years in a row. Not at your level, but nonetheless, you always think in high school, I said, man, I'm going to a D1 school. I'm waiting for all these letters to come in. And
that's what I was thinking. And
you get those bogus letters that come in, and I was getting from South Carolina, some good schools. And then when it all comes down to it, dude, I had 2 offers. I could have went to Wharton County Junior College on a full scholarship, or I could have went to Texas Lutheran College on a half scholarship. Dude, I can't take no half scholarship. I got to have a full. So I went the JUCO route. And I remember I told my mom's friend, I said, Evelyn, it'd be all right. I said, I'll go to junior college. I'll make All-America a couple of years. Then I'll go to D1 school. Lane, as you know, there's some football playing motherfuckers at the JUCO level, man.
I'll tell you my first game. All right, so we're going out there warming up, and we're playing Fort Scott Community College. And I don't know if you know who Jason Pierre-Paul is, but we didn't know it at the time. But that summit was out there doing about 30 backflips on the road, and we walked out there, son, and got a good fast ass whooping.
We played against a guy, I think was it Kilgore or Tyler? His name was Ronnie Ducksworth, and he had broken all of Marcus Dupree's high school running records, and dude was about 6'3", 240, and we caught him on some bad weather up there in East Texas. It was cold, it was rainy, and Ronnie had the flu. And my buddy and I was playing linebacker. And, once I got to JUCO, I had some athletic ability, so they moved me to linebacker. They didn't need my ass behind the quarterback. Yeah. And God dang, man, my buddy kept just really talking a lot of shit to Ronnie, and he was kicking the shit out of us. And I remember the very next play, dude. I mean, it was like he ran straight over. My buddy's name was Robert Webb. He ran straight over him, and the dude had cleat marks all up and down his jersey. I said, I told you to shut the fuck up. This guy's already bad enough to begin with, and now you want to piss him off and make it personal?
I'm telling you that some of the biggest athletic freaks I've ever seen was in Kilgore, Texas. And it's how it always is. You go watch that documentary Last Chance U. It kind of gives a perspective of what that JUCO life's about. Survival of the fittest.
It is, man. But you had an interesting story there at Kilgore because you were there, you're playing quarterback, and then coach stuck you over at tight end on the play. He said, hey, man, go over and play tight end for a second. You went over and crushed a dude, and I guess, wasn't there a coach from Mississippi State or Southern Mississippi was there, and all of a sudden?
Yes.
So what happened there, man?
Here's what happened. So I was playing quarterback during the spring. I was probably 245, 250. We already had our test scores. I ended up running, I think, a 4.55 was my fastest. So I had good times. I had all the measurables, and springtime's whenever all those guys are coming around recruiting. You're like, hey, man, motherfucker, pick me, please, take me. So one of our tight ends transferred, and so he was needing me to do some extra duty. So I went out there and tried to give it my all, and it worked out for me. And after that practice, he pulled me to the side, and eventually, said he'll call me or whatever, end up offering me. So that was my first, my first letter out. So I was really excited about that. And then we can go into how they got to Oklahoma, but it was really a cat and mouse game with that.
So how many offers did you have out of Kilgore, and how did you end up picking Oklahoma?
So it was really ultimately it was 4. So it was Southern Miss, it was Rice, and then here's what happened. My high school coach Keith Thomas played at Oklahoma, so he knew Merv, the recruiting director at the time. So we would drive up to Norman and talk to them, size me up. He looks good. We don't have much film on him, but and then on our way back down, we would go to Fort Worth and see Gary Patterson at TCU because he was recruiting me in high school but never did offer. And so, I was telling him I already had an offer to Southern Miss. And then eventually TCU ends up offering me late, like right before camp. And I called Stoops up and said, well, hey, I'm about to go to TCU. And then they ended up offering me, and that's how I got to OU.
Hey, how was playing for Bob Stoops?
It was fun, man. It was, I'm not gonna lie, man. We put in our work. I mean, that's really how it is at college now. You're gonna bust your ass, but I mean, he ran a good, good clean program. We had one of the most fiercest, strength coaches, in Jerry Schmidt, who would work the shit out of him. He's one of those guys that you're gonna work your ass off. You're gonna gain his respect through that, and if you don't work hard, they're gonna try to get your ass out. So that's what I did, man. I was just a worker. I got there. I redshirted my first year. I was coming off playing quarterback. I showed up at camp. I was getting my ass whooped, pretty much all season long. Then I started gaining weight, picking up size, and then eventually, towards my end of my sophomore year, going through my junior year, that's when I got moved to tackle, and things kind of took off for me.
Hey, man, what were you doing to put on all that weight with respect to the training table or what kind of food you had access to? Obviously, you're in a world-class place as far as the strength program goes. But what were you doing to suck down the calories, and what was your protocol for that?
So me and my buddy, one of my good friends, Gabe Biker, came in together. He's a tight end out of Oklahoma City. He went to Bishop McGinnis High School there in Oklahoma City. So he came in, and he was a tight end with me. And after his freshman year, they moved him to center. So he was, on that weight gain plan. So pretty much at the time, the NCAA now gives them all the muscle milk, all the whatever you want. But back then, you had 8 swipes in that card a week for the calf. And it was call your mama up and try to get some money from her so you can get something to eat. But basically, man, we pretty much went out, every night with the line and just, ate shitty. I mean, we had to put on calories, wasn't necessarily eating healthy, but you had to get those calories in to gain weight. Man, I just here's the deal. And if you didn't make weight, so every Friday you had to make weight. So mine was like 305. And if you didn't make it, they'd make you sit in front of that motherfucker with shakes until you made it. So if you were 298, you were going to drink about 7 or 8 shakes in front of them until you made 305. So we have tons of stories like that. So that's kind of how it went.
That was straight up. They made you do that?
Hell yeah. Hey, and right after you got done drinking it, you take your ass outside and go throw it all up. But that was just how it was.
Hey, so right now, what are you weighing during OTAs?
I'm around 315 right now. 310, 315. During the season, I weigh between 320 and 325.
Dude, are you watching anything at all as far as what you put in your body? Or if you don't eat enough, will you drop weight?
Yeah, I say my natural weight probably be around 275, 280. So, I got a big frame, but now I think my metabolism's starting to slow down a little bit, so where I don't have to eat near as much as what I did. I eat 3 meals a day, probably a couple shakes in there, and I'm good.
Once you got out of Oklahoma and you were going to go into the combine and into the draft, and you were highly touted, coming out of college. You was All-American your last year, right?
I was like honorable mention All Big 12. I was second team All Big 12, and like third team All-American by CBS or something.
Right. So going into the combine, how was that experience? Because, man, I'm a huge football junkie. I love college football season and watch all the Saturday games and on Sunday, Monday, and Thursday. I'm hooked on the pros. But I'm really enamored with the combine just because it just seems like a really unique process. How was that experience for you? What did you because everybody's always preparing for the bench press, for the 40, all the drills, all the interviews, all that stuff. Break that experience down for me.
So the whole thing is designed to put these athletes under pressure, see how they're going to handle it. And, hey, you get thrown in the fire, with all you already know what you're going to test for, so you've been working on that. But, you also had to go in these meeting rooms with the GM, the head coach, everybody. They got cameras on you. They're asking you, tough questions to see how you're going to react, see if they can make your head spin a little bit. So it's kind of like an interrogation. It's exactly what it is. And so basically that's what they're trying to do. I mean, they're going to invest a lot of money in a guy. They want to see what you're about, and most of the time they already know the answer to the questions that they're asking you. So if you lie, they're going to put it on your ass. So that's really what it is. So the first day you do all your physicals. The second day you do like your weigh-ins, and maybe the one-lick tests, and then you have a couple of days of interviews. That's pretty much what it is. It's interviews from 6 o'clock till midnight, just going to different teams. And that's really what it is. It's designed to no sleep. You're not eating real good. They want to see how you react under stress. And then at the very last day, that's when you test, and then you go home. Hey
man, what was the one-lick test all about?
Like the first question was, what's the third month of the year? That's how it started off. But so we have very simple questions, and then it goes to you have your math, and they have some shit you don't ever see. So it's kind of. I think a lot of coaches kind of throw that shit out the window. I think it's not as good as what they make it seem.
How nerve-wracking was that combine, or was it just another day at the office for you?
My nerve-wracking moment was the Senior Bowl, because everybody knew that was kind of going to run well. But when you go to the Senior Bowl, you get to go against everybody talks about the SEC talent, the LSUs, the Alabamas. So you get out there and get to pretty much show what you can do. So. After my second day, I didn't lose a one-on-one. I knew things were going good. So that, I think that propelled me to the first round. I was probably seen as a second or third round pick at a time. And then the combine, I knew I was going to blow the roof off the place. I was just, just give it to the last day. That was really it, man. It was, it's crazy to think it's 5 years ago, but that's really how it went.
How do you guys prepare for just, max reps and with 225 on the bar?
Some days you'll have low reps, high weight. And then you'll switch it up to where you do low weight, lots of reps, and you'll mix that up. You'll do, drop sets. We did some of that. We did some board work. You had the board on you.
Yep.
I'm trying to think what else. We had some stuff with bands. It's been a long time, but that's pretty much how it is. And I just had a cycle with that.
Hey, what do you do to bring up your 40 time? Or man, I'm watching these big ass linemen and getting into these positions, like a track star. Well, you ran track. Can you really improve your 40 time? And like I said, dude, I was running 4.9s at Warden County Junior College, and then Bobby Jack Wright recruited me to North Texas State University. We're out there running 40s. And Corky Nelson was the head coach at the time, and my real last name back in the day was Steve Williams. So he said, Williams, come here. I went over. He said, what's wrong? I said, what are you talking about, Coach? He says, you're running a 4.9 40. I said, I always run a 4.9 40. He said, your coach at Wharton said you ran a 4.7. I said, Coach, I never run a 4.7 in my life. He was padding my stats for me. So, dude, if I'd gotten any kind of stance or anything scientific, it wasn't going to improve my 40 time any.
A lot of it's with the start. They want your shin angles to the 45-degree angle. It's really about the start. A lot of guys start high. They want to get a good knee drive. Try to get a yard out that first stance. But for me, it was really like Forrest Gump, man, to just get out there and run. I was always pretty fast. I played basketball all my life. I was just get out there and run, man. Don't overthink it.
When you heard your name called at the number 4 position, first round, what were your thoughts? Relief, excited, emotional?
Yeah, it's really kind of a blur at that time. Everything's moving so fast. You've had so many months of interviews, going to Senior Bowl, all the work, and it finally comes into one moment. But Miami traded up to the number 3 spot, so I thought I was going to Miami. So whenever that happened, my agent tapped me on the back there, doing all that shit. Hey, then Deion Jordan. I sat back. And then I knew that the Eagles were going to take me. They had a good workout with them. Me and the O-line coach were real savvy, and it was fun. My dad was there. My dad's country son bitch, so he it's probably his first time in New York, so it was a real cool deal. My wife was with me, my mom, so it's kind of all that hard work, just captured in one moment, and the family could be with you. It was cool.
The Steve Austin Show. The Steve Austin Show.
A true crime podcast.
It got me upset because this is someone's kid, and someone knows she's gone.
That takes a different approach.
It was shocking for something like this to happen in our little town.
Focusing on the communities affected by life-shattering crimes.
It made news throughout the entire region that these 2 people had been shot while they slept in such a safe community.
To give a new perspective on the devastation crimes can cause.
It was shocking for something like this to happen in our little town.
Featuring cases from quiet towns to bustling cities and interviewing the people closest to the case.
My first thought was that it's an unusual location for us to have a homicide.
Listen to the true crime podcast City Confidential and step beyond the yellow tape to learn just how far a crime can reach.
There are certain cases in the history of Boston that I think sort of define the city. I think this is one of them.
New episodes of the City Confidential podcast are available every Thursday. Available wherever you get your podcasts.
Man, the way things turned out with the Super Bowl win last year, aren't you glad you didn't get taken at the number 3 spot?
Yeah, I think everything happens for a reason. I mean, we've had our struggles here. The city hadn't won nothing in a long time, but the way I approach the game, man, I try to approach it fearless. We talked about the Patriots. I got in a lot of trouble around my mouth, but my thinking was they give too much respect to these guys. Everybody's half-ass scared of them, and they're beaten before they get on the field. I ain't playing Tom Brady. I don't give a fuck about him. I know that defensive line ain't gonna do shit against us, and that was kind of my approach. The whole, I'm out there talking shit to them, but in my meeting rooms, I'm telling our guys that, and I think, a lot of times before a game, a lot of guys are beaten mentally, and I can tell you that firsthand from my rookie year. You look guys on paper, size and speed, that shit don't matter, man. You get out there, and I got a good guard next to me now, and it's just go out there and go do your deal.
Do you try to set the tone? I mean, because you're going to get some badass dudes. Von Miller's dude for the Raiders, god dang, Khalil Mack, one of my favorite players to watch. I can't remember his name, but dude, you're going to get all kinds of badass guys. Are you trying to get in their head? Are they trying to get in your head? How much trash talking is going on out there, and what does it mean?
For me, I really don't trash talk a lot unless somebody starts mouthing off me. Then I'll say something. If I pancake dude, I may talk a little shit, but usually I don't. I usually don't say nothing, especially those good guys. You don't want to get them riled up more than what they are. But really, man, at the tackle position, you always talk about the defensive end getting off to a good start. That first step. You go watch my videos. I'm kicking out like a damn donkey because basically what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to beat him to a spot.
Right.
That spot means if he beats you there, he's going to bend the edge and get the sack. So it's all about, getting off that ball. That's what it's really about.
At my age, when I go back, I mean, there were so many great football players, but Lawrence Taylor just jumps off the page to me, just as kind of being a game changer, different kind of linebacker, edge rusher, and just total maniac on the football field. Who would be your favorite defensive player, whether it's currently in the game or just overall, that you've enjoyed watching, or you said, hey, man, that dude, that's a bad motherfucker right there?
Von Miller now.
Right.
Reggie White then, because I saw Reggie White, he has that famous club move. I saw what he did to Larry Allen. Everybody knows what a stud Larry Allen was, and just, and our head coach Doug played with him at Green Bay, and I've heard stories, so, he was that guy.
What did you think when you went to the Philadelphia Eagles? You got taken number 4, and Chip Kelly's the head coach. Now, dude, I loved what he was doing at Oregon, but all of a sudden, man, when he started putting those pieces together over there, I really didn't know that he was building. He was going about building what I thought he was going to run in a real different fashion with different pieces. And so you're with him for a couple of years, and then comes Doug Peterson. But what was the mindset or or morale of that team when Chip was there? Because to me, it just seemed it was a little discombobulated, and not everything was as it needed to be, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely exciting whenever he first came in, and we did some good things. I think his offense, you have to have a mobile quarterback, and we had that in Michael Vick, and then he gets hurt, Nick Foles comes in, he has that good year, and then we start getting rid of our best players. You got Deshaun Jackson, who can outrun anybody on the field. You got Shady McCoy, who's going to be one of the best running backs of all time, and you just get rid of those guys just like that to kind of set a tone. And the players didn't really like that, and we did we majored in sports science, which is a good thing. We still do it here, but I think we kind of went overboard with that. I think a good way to put it is we majored in the minors instead of focusing on some of the main points that we needed to. And really, to be honest with you, I think if we would have won that last Washington game, he may still be here. But I wish him the best. I mean, he gave him an opportunity here. I think he'll turn things around at UCLA.
Well, I'm interested to see what he's going to do at UCLA too. And some people are just better college coaches than they are pro coaches, or vice versa, it seems to me. But when Doug Peterson comes in, what was the mindset of the team? Because, man, I'd done, kind of research that guy, and a few years earlier, he's coaching high school football. Came from a great tree. All of a sudden, man, this dude comes in, started watching last year, and then this past year was like, I really got into y'all's program, and one of the things I liked about Doug Peterson, I like watching him call those offensive plays. Just cool, calm, just reserved, very confident. And what did he bring to that team that brought you guys within 2 years to the World Championship?
What I like about Doug is he has no ego. You can go in the morning, you can have breakfast with him, you can have a normal conversation where it's not awkward, and nothing's forced. It's not like the old school. You have a mean, tough-ass coach. He doesn't talk to your players. It's not like that, man. And I think that just builds respect, among the team. And then, man, he's just, I think he's been around Andy Reid. Andy Reid's had a lot of success here. And, Frank Wright was here, who's now the head coach of the Colts. So we had a lot of brilliant minds, and then we got Carson, who's, one of the best quarterbacks in the league. So I just think, that first year was kind of rocky, but once he got in the rhythm, I think he's one of the best play callers in the game. Like I said, he never gets rattled. And one of my favorite things that he says to us before every game, let your personality show. Because at the end of the day, we're entertainers. That's all we are. That's what you did most of your life. What were you doing? We're entertaining. We're out there trying to win the game, but it's also, he just tries to make it fun. I feel like around here it's not. When it's time to take shit serious, we do. And when it's time to, have fun and enjoy each other, we do that.
And I was reading an interview by Zach Ertz, y'all's tight end, great player. And he kind of said the same thing with respect to Doug Peterson. You guys are able to have fun, let your hair down, and be who you are. And what did you think when you made the statements about the Patriots way or the Patriots system? Just what's the biggest difference between Philadelphia and the Patriots?
Here's what pissed me off is, the Patriots, obviously, I respect their coach. I respect Bill. I respect Tom Brady. But just because the way they won the Super Bowls, the Patriot way, is that how everybody else is supposed to do the same thing? No, it's not. And that's what I got mad at the arrogance by them. There's obviously some stuff behind closed doors. They're literally, their owner talking shit to our owner. Bill talking shit to our head coach for the game. I'm not going to say it, but, a lot of shit, kind of built up to that. And I just got tired of hearing about it, man. To be honest, I saw a defense that wasn't overly talented. It was all about really containing Tom Brady. We had a hard time doing that. He had 505 yards. But that was really it, man. Going into the game, I'm not going to be, shell-shocked by it. And that was kind of our thing going in. Well, I think we had the upper hand on that.
Man, you guys got off to a great start, ended up with a 13-3 record. I'm watching the football game. Carson's going in, trying to make a score. He scores a touchdown, but he blows out his ACL. And I'm thinking, God dang, man, here's this kid, second year in the league, having a great season, class act, great athlete, hell of a damn leader, and he goes down. And I'm thinking, y'all are done. What were your thoughts when y'all knew that Carson was down for the rest of the count and Nick Foles was going to come in?
Well, thing here, I played with Nick. Nick was my quarterback when I came in, him and Michael Vick. So if there was a situation, I thought that in the preseason that if, something ever happened, we were going to be in a good situation. And, Nick came in that game, finished that game, won the game for us. and ended up having a great 4-touchdown game against the Vikings, and then we had rough 2 games right for the playoffs, and here in Philly, the world's ending, so heading to that playoff game, we're the number 1 seed, and then we're picked to be out the first round, so I think it was just really a pure disrespect to all the other players. We got a lot of damn good players, offensive line, defensive line, secondary, receivers. So, I just feel like what they saw happen in Green Bay is what they thought was going to happen here. But I think the coaches, they did a good job of, there was no shock factor. It's really, next man up mentality. We're still in a good place. We can still do this. And that's what happened. It definitely sucked, man, just because he was having an MVP caliber season, such a great guy. The dude works his ass off. He's been in here working his ass off, all day now. So, we're very fortunate we had a good backup.
One of the things that impressed me about that whole situation was how classy and mature Carson Wentz went about it. I mean, in his interviews, man, he was on crutches. He said, "Hey, man, Nick's got my full support." And he goes, "I know God's got a greater plan for me." And dude, you don't often see that. And so I just thought probably internally that did a lot for y'all's team in general.
Yeah, and the thing was, I think with that it was genuine. Some people say that, and hope he goes out there and throws 5 picks. But the way Carson is, he really meant it. All he cared about was how this team was doing. And that goes, we had our Pro Bowl, Hall of Famer, left tackle that went down early in the season, Sproles. So all those guys, man, were on the sidelines in the games, in the meeting rooms, going up, in before the playoff games, and they played a big factor in all of this.
Hey, man, what's the difference in the huddle or at the offensive line between Carson Wentz running the team and Nick Foles running the team?
Yeah, I get that a lot. It's really nothing for me. It's really I got to do the same job. It may be different for the receivers. They may be running different routes. Foles likes doing a lot of RPOs. Maybe more so Carson. So it really just changes it up outside as far as me doing my job. I better block this guy up. Nothing really changes for us.
So what do you mean by RPO?
Run pass option. Okay. So, if a linebacker's coming downhill or whatever, don't hand the ball off. We're going to throw a slant route behind him. So that's kind of, you use that to your advantage. And you see it a lot in college, like Oklahoma does it with Lincoln Riley. But they're starting to, put it in the pros a lot more too.
Hey, man, you guys end up going to the playoffs, and we're going to get this big underdogs thing because, man, at the Super Bowl celebration, you and Chris Long and Jason Kelsey, talking about that famous underdog promo. Mm-hmm. But you get to the Super Bowl. This is your first Super Bowl. Y'all end up winning it. First time in 52 years Philly's ever had a Super Bowl win. What were your nerves before that game? Because everybody's like, I'm watching guys, I'm a football junkie, like I said. I'm watching these guys, and they say, oh, man, these guys say they're going to be all calm and reserved, but this is a Super Bowl, and they ain't never done anything like this. So how were your nerves going into that game, and how were you guys as a team going into that game, and what was Peterson's message to you guys?
The way we approached it was don't make it bigger than what it is. Treat it just like a regular week. When you keep hearing that it's a Super Bowl, this, that, you start believing and hearing that shit. Yeah, you're gonna believe all that. But I'm not gonna lie, everybody was nervous for that game. But I felt like how well we were prepared. You have a couple weeks to prepare. We knew that this defensive front wasn't the best that we've seen all season, so we knew we were going to be able to put up points. And it was just really about just being ourselves and not make the moment bigger than what it is. And I think you think about pressure. As a child, you don't feel like, when you go back to psychology, there's a lot of psychology, I guess, involved around here. But really, when you think about pressure as a child, you don't feel pressure because you're so in the moment. You're not worried about the future. You're not worried about what's about to happen, what happened. As you get older, you start worrying about, bills I got to pay, what I got to do next is. But when you stay in the now, all that goes away. It's a hard thing to do, and it's something that, I think we've been, trying to embrace the whole year.
The Steve Austin Show. The Steve Austin Show. This is the Steve Austin Show.
Getting late in the season, and you've been doing this for a couple of years now, how tough of a grind is it when you start getting, back, past that 12-game mark, heading in the back half, back last few games that season, everything's on the line. How much of a physical toll? I mean, between some of those Monday, Thursday games, Sundays, however the schedule is, a lot of times, man, there's some short periods between games. Yeah. How much more difficult is the pros than college?
A lot, just because you have 4 preseason games plus 16 regular season games. Some of them you're flying, West Coast and back, and then if you make the playoffs, 4 more games too. So that's almost double a college football season. And so, in those preseason games, you're practicing just like a regular week. So it's really, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon, but really it's about taking care of your body. For offensive linemen, me, I got to take care of my feet and my ankles. If I don't, they'll end up swelling up on me. Your back, you got to take care of your back, your hips, make sure you're loose, limber. It's really just an ongoing process. But, we have good trainers here that go and see it, every day after practice. You got your hot tub, cold tub. Everybody has their different rituals. People get in the sauna in the steam room. That's really what we do. Epsom salt bath, same old stuff. It's really just the same stuff week in, week out.
Is there ever a time after the season before you guys start OTAs where you can just kind of just relax and not do anything, or are you always driven to go to the gym, stay in shape, and keep your edge?
I think there's a balance in that. Doing too much will shorten your career.
Yeah.
I think a lot of my stuff after the season is really about just staying limber, staying flexible. When you lift all the time, you get stiff, and that's how you get hurt, getting stiff, getting injured. But usually after the season, I'll take probably a month off. I'll go to the gym every now and then, just mess around. But really, I'm just trying to relax, get off my feet, and stretch a little bit. To be honest with you,
every time before I wrestled, I just had a ritual. I'm a little bit superstitious, nothing crazy, like a black cat that crossed in front of me ain't gonna bring me bad luck. But it was just a habit of mine to put my right boot on first, and then I'd put my left boot on, and then I'd do my braces, and I'd take my left wrist up, and then take my right wrist up. Did you have any pregame rituals that you absolutely must do, or things will not be right inside your head?
Make sure I don't leave any of my shit in the hotel room. That's one of my rituals. Me and my right guard, usually before every game, he'll go to the stall next to me. I'll go to the stall next to him. We'll start throwing up, get those nerves out, and that's really what we do every game.
How bad are those nerves? I mean, for real. I mean, you're puking before every game.
Yeah, it's really I don't have anything to puke up. It's just really hey, it's wartime. I feel like it's something people have been doing for a long time. Really, I think it just helps me calm me down, to be honest.
That's interesting. Hey, man, let's talk about that Super Bowl for a second. You guys go out there, the game starts, and all of a sudden, Malcolm Butler never gets in the football game, and he was a key part of their defense. Might have could have changed the course of the game. We'll never know. It's speculation. What were your thoughts on that? I don't know if you know what the situation was in-house over there with the Patriots, but the fact that Malcolm Butler was one of their best players did not play in that game.
That's the thing. You're never going to know. And whatever they're told to do in the media is what they're told to do. They're not, like I said, they're robots. They're told what to do, and if you go out of line, cut your ass. No, I mean, to be honest, I really have no idea what he did. I know that he's a great player. I know that he probably, he would have had an impact on the game. But seriously, I mean, still, I don't think really, anybody knows as far as over here. I'm sure it was something, team rules broken or something. Maybe the week of the Super Bowl. That's kind of my thoughts on that.
Man, maybe when you're in the grinder in the middle of the game or stepping back from the game now that it's over, when Doug Peterson went for it on fourth down, a couple of times, was it 2 or 3 times, as an offensive unit, shit's on the line. You're playing the New England Patriots, and they got a history of just playing Patriots football, and Belichick's a damn genius, Brady's Brady, and their team is their team, and man, if they're in the game in the fourth quarter, there's a good chance, something bad's going to happen. They're going to end up winning that game. All of a sudden, you guys, you're kicking ass. You're doing great the whole game. You're always in it. But when Coach Peterson goes for it on fourth down, what's the feeling inside that huddle?
You get energized that your coach believes in what you can do, and it gets you riled up. And I'm sure you know that feeling. And we had it a couple of, multiple times. I got to, my mentality is let's get after it. That's kind of our old line mentality, just get after it. And, especially that, the Philly play. We've had that in the arsenal for a couple of weeks, and we were just waiting for it to be called, and there was not a perfect, more perfect time. The reason why I love that play is because I really don't have to do nothing. I'm selling it like a bootleg, so it's kind of foolproof. I can't say what's up. It ended up turning out great for us, man. It was, it'll be remembered around here forever.
Hey, man, I forget the score, but you guys were ahead, and Tom Brady gets a football. Man, what was it? 2 minutes, whatever.
Yeah.
Plenty of time to go down there and score.
I'm thinking just what you're thinking.
Yeah, so you got TB12, one of the greatest of all time. And some people consider him the greatest of all time, and he's got the football. You're on the sideline. What are you thinking?
Exactly what you're thinking. He's about to go take somebody who's going to win this game. I was just sitting there, sitting next to my guard, just saying, "Here we go." We have no control over it, and I was just hoping, a pick, something would happen, and end up, that strip sack. Still had the Hail Mary, which could have been called, but Brandon Graham saved all that for us. But I was thinking just what everybody else in this whole world was thinking. Oh shit, here we go.
Hey man, what were you thinking when the game was over?
What I did was I sat on that bench and I kind of watched what everybody else did. I saw everybody just start screaming and running, and I just sat there for a little bit. Then I saw our Mike Groves, now offense coordinator, and he jumped up, gave me a big hug, went around, started hugging everybody. Dust flying in the air. It was just this city's been talking about this, ever since I got drafted. Before I got drafted, and finally, get it done for once. It was something that it's hard to even explain, but it was so cool.
You feel like now with one under your belt, I mean, obviously you'd like to win more, but, I mean, you feel like the pressure's off?
Yeah. I mean, it feels good to get one, but, moving forward, we're not going to be, the underdogs anymore. People know who we are. We're going to be good. So it's really all about how you look at it. I think if you approach the game, week to week, don't get too far ahead of yourself. That's what most successful teams do, and that's where we're at kind of right now.
Man, when y'all went in that end of the Super Bowl against Patriots, because they were the Patriots, and, man, I'm a Belichick fan. I just like the way he coaches. I like the way he operates. How can you not like Tom Brady? But I was really following y'all's program, and on one hand, it was one of those deals where, as a football fan, on one hand, it'd be interesting to see Tom win number 6. But on the other hand, it's like, man, as big of a fan as I am of the dude, it's like, come on, man, that's enough. I want to see Philly get one.
I mean, that's kind of hard. I think that's kind of America's feeling too. I guess when they had the polls on SportsCenter or whatever, it was, everything was Eagles except for, New Hampshire and up there, maybe in Maine, and it was cool, man. But yeah, going in, nobody expected us to win.
But because of that, because you guys were the underdogs, because nobody expected you to win, did that take, even though it's the Super Bowl and that's a huge moment, did that take some of the pressure off just because, hey man, we ain't supposed to win this summit anyway, so let's go and give them hell?
You're exactly right. Yeah, we had nothing to lose, and that was kind of the whole playoff picture. We were already, picked to not do shit, so we can only go up. And that was, that's a good train of thought to have, and that was our train of thought.
Hey, man, in OTAs right now, and before OTAs, did you get a chance to watch the draft, or do you watch the combine? Do you keep up with who's available? You kind of know what your needs are. How close do you follow that?
I'm a pretty big numbers guy, so I follow it. We had a guy from Oklahoma, a tackle, Orlando Brown, who was supposed to be a first round pick, ended up going third, but. I watch those guys. I'm a height, weight, speed guy. I think it's interesting. And then, to see what the team needs and obviously who I'm going to be playing, who the Cowboys draft, who the Giants draft, who the Redskins draft. So I follow it.
Who was your favorite pro football team growing up?
I was a Brett Favre guy, man. I love the shit out of Brett Favre. I love that, take off your blue jeans and let's go put on these pads and let's go get it done. I just liked it because he seemed like a genuine country guy. He's from Mississippi. He likes to hunt fish. Similar interests. What I liked about him too, he just went out there and slang it. Just kind of had his emotions on the sleeve, and I think that's why everybody loved him. The way that he played the game.
You come from East Texas and you get drafted by Philly. Are you in Philly year round, or do you go back home to Texas? Where do you spend your time during the off season?
It's usually here. My wife's, so I got a house in Oklahoma. My wife's from Oklahoma, so we live there in Edmond. And then my mom lives there in Huntsville, there in East Texas. So I kind of bounce around. All my family's in East Texas, so I just kind of bounce around and do some hunting and fishing, and it's pretty much it. See some friends, and then they head back up here.
Where you do hunting at?
Down there in Freer. My uncle has a ranch down there, so we do that. He has a guy come out there and survey every year. Tells how many he needs to kill. I go out there and kill the coals. The old dinks need to be shot, but he has hogs and bobcats, coyotes. So you can have all the fun you want out there. We got a high rack we get on and have a few beers, have a good time.
Man, the thing that was interesting the last few years I was in South Texas. I mean, dude, it'd be December and I'm sitting in the stand. It's 90 degrees.
Yeah.
I'm in tennis shoes, shorts, and the same shirt I'm wearing right now, dry fit sleeveless shirt. I'm like, really? It's 90 degrees and I'm in a box. You understand? It's like being Paul Newman in the box. And I'm sitting there sweating my ass off, beating the shit out of Yellow Jackets and stuff like that. And I'm thinking, dude, this is supposed to be December. So the heat down there is unbelievable. You like South Texas?
Yeah, the weather, just in Texas in general, and especially in Houston, close to Houston, is so damn humid. Yeah, that's the way it's been, though, past couple of years. I think they had a good spring this year. It's pretty green, so probably be some good hunting this year. If I get to go, I hardly get to go anymore.
That's what I was about to ask. I mean, if you're going to go down there, it's probably just, 3, 4, 5, 6 days?
Yeah, pretty much. But most of the time, I'm doing fishing, man. I love to fish.
Freshwater, saltwater?
I do a little bit of both. Like I went bay fishing there in Galveston a couple months ago. It was a little bit too cold. We caught a few reds, a few specks, but most of the time I like doing some just regular pond bass fishing.
Hey, I want to go to the Super Bowl celebration there in Philly, and it was you and Chris Long there at the podium. And at the Super Bowl celebration, you said, if you like the way this feels, I want to feel it more often. Give me a hell yeah. And Philly gave you a big ass hell yeah. And Jason Kelsey went out there and gave a hell of a damn promo. Did you grow up watching any wrestling at all?
Hell yeah, the attitude there. I was a big Bill Goldberg fan. I liked you going out there, and every time you raise your hand up, you're catching a beer. Like, you ain't drinking, you're drinking just a little bit of it, just having that shit ever. But it was entertainment, man. I kind of stepped away, but like me and Chris are pretty good buddies. So he wears his Austin 316 shirt about every other day around this bitch.
So you was a Goldberg fan?
Yeah, I like Bill just because he had that 100-something streak or whatever it was. But yeah, pretty much that. I like Sting. I like you and The Rock. You and The Rock went back quite a bit. It was just entertaining, man. I just don't think it'll ever be matched. It was just back then, everybody's going, well, is it real? Is it fake? I'm only 9, 10 years old. Who gives a damn, man? So it's so entertaining. So Jim Ross, he's talked about you a lot. He's a big OU fan. He was always on the sidebar. I talk to him every now and then. So I got a funny story. My last game, we're playing A&M, and we're about to play, Manziel's out there. And before the game, Jim goes, y'all about to get y'all's ass kicked out there by Manziel. I said, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. That much had about 250 yards rushing on us, and we got beat about 41-13.
What were your thoughts on him in college versus what happened to him in the pros?
Hey, it's all about that lifestyle. It's all about people you hang around. I think, he's probably a good kid. I just think if you let people slide in what they do, maybe in college, I think that monster just grows, and I think that's what you've seen. I like to see him get another chance at it, but, you never know. But I think stuff like that's created over time. You let people get away with stuff. It just, like I said, it just builds a monster.
Hey, man, you're no you guy. My mother was born in Guthrie, Oklahoma, so I've got some Oklahoma in my blood. And so when I cheer for the Sooners, people always get mad at me and say, hey, man, you're supposed to cheer for the Longhorns. No, I got Oklahoma rights when I choose to cheer for them. Anyway, Baker Mayfield goes #1 overall. Did that surprise you you get your Sam Darnold, your Josh Rosen, the other dude?
Josh Allen.
Yeah. So what do you think about Baker Mayfield going #1?
I'll tell you something. The first time I met Baker Mayfield, he just came in. He was he came in from Texas Tech. He walked on there and ended up taking to the bowl game, ended up transferring. As soon as I met him, there wasn't cocky about him, but I knew he had that swagger, he had that it factor about him, and he had that presence to where you could tell people want to be around this guy. And he had that, like I said, that presence. And after I left there, I just saw it, the progression take off and to what it is now. So if you want to talk about those videos, stuff off the field, I can tell you that dude's a genuine guy. He's thrown it to a tough place in Cleveland. They haven't won in a long time. But if there's anybody to do it, it'd be that guy right there.
Before each season, you set individual goals for yourself?
Yeah, this past year, I wanted to be a Pro Bowler. Did that, ended up getting, even better first team All-Pro, but even before the year started, our offensive coordinator at the time, Frank Wright, made a card a card of all the pass rushers I'm going against and all the number of sacks that I had. So I had Von Miller, I had Joey Bosa, I had Melvin Ingram, Justin Houston, Jason Pierre-Paul, Ryan Kerrigan twice, DeMarcus Lawrence. So I had the big bad wolves all year long. There wasn't a game where you could go out there and mess around. So, and especially coming off that suspension, I know what people think of me, and I'm ready. My back's against the wall, and I went out there and show people what I can do. And I think from now on, I'm just, I want to dominate this game for a long time.
I'm looking on your Twitter account, Lane Johnson 65, and it's you hanging out with some of the guys. Man, there's 6 of you guys. there's probably 1,900 pounds of humanity in this picture. How close are you guys, man? I mean, how much time do you guys like to spend together? When have you had enough of each other and you just want to, do your own thing, or is it all about, hey, hanging with the guys?
It's all about hanging with the guys. There ain't nothing like it. I'm sure your time in the business, you had your bros. Hey, you can go there, you can have a heart to heart with. You can go get drunk, shit faced with. You can, go to their house and eat dinner with their family. I mean, that's really how it is. And it's, I don't think it's like this at a whole lot of other places. But with what we got here, I can genuinely say we're all good friends. I think that's what makes us, so good. On off the field. So
how do you and your guys, or at least O-line guys, or the team in general, feel heading into the new season?
We feel good. To hell with expectations. In this line of work, man, you try to drown out the media. I mean, do they do good? Yeah. Are they really good at motivating people? I think they're really good at motivating us last year. Ranking us so low. But really, it's just try to erase all the memories. Like even with the Super Bowl, it felt cool for about a month, and then you find out nobody really gives a shit no more.
Right.
And that's kind of where we're at. So, even the start of OTAs, Doug said that, this is a new normal around here. We have the pieces to be good for a long time. And it's really about just staying consistent. I think we can learn from the Patriots, even though I don't like them. I think you can learn from them. They've been the key to consistency year in, year out for a long time. And it's hard. There's a lot of distractions. People want to pat you on the back, tell you how good you are. That's kind of the worst. The worst thing you can do is have that relief factor where you kind of, pause and think everything's made for you.
Your wife was a high jumper in college.
Yeah.
How long have you guys been married?
We've been married 5 years. 5 long years.
So how is she with putting up with the football season, the demands physically, you being away, that whole thing? Because I spent my life, traveling on the road, and we're gone 24/7 for 25 days at a time sometimes. But how's your wife dealing with the football season and just the violent factor and just the injury factor, and god dang it, hoping that everything is fine with you?
Yeah, no, she's good. So during the football season, she's up here. So my son's actually, so they're back home in Oklahoma right now. My son's 4. He's in preschool, so he's finishing up there. But her dad played in the NFL for 7 years, so,
yep.
She knows what it's about. I'm not going to lie, she has to put up with a lot of shit. I come home, I'm not in good moods all the time. Come home, I got toys and shit everywhere. I just want to get it back and throw it all away. But hey, she does a good job of, taking care of me. And really, man, it's a team effort. I couldn't do it without her. Just, the ins and outs of this game, you have your ups and downs, but it's good to have somebody at the house that's always got your back.
I was watching a couple of interviews of you from people back in Groveton, and they said, hey, man, if you ever saw Lane, walk around school, he was always either reading a book or had his head in a book. I know you like to fish. I know you like to hunt. Do you have any other hobbies? I mean, do you like to read, or is that just for educational purposes? I mean, what do you do to relax when you can't hunt and fish, or any hobbies that you like or any passions that you like?
Really about hanging with friends. Man, I like to get off in the woods. I just feel like that's ultimately where you get some peace and quiet. But really, it's just where I can vent is back home with my buddies that from high school that I haven't seen in years. I've been in Oklahoma, now I'm in Philly. Those people, they're my old friends now. I don't get to spend much time with them. So anytime I can get around some of my running buddies, that's what we do. I got a lake house there on Lake Livingston, there in Cold Springs. So got a pontoon boat. Like to go out there. There's an island out there in the middle called Pine Island. We'll go out there and get hammered a little bit and hang out. And I mean, that's kind of what we do, man. We just kind of relax and lay low.
Hey, man, when the season's in full swing and you guys are on the run that you were on, let's just say last year, is there a time after games, or can you have a few beers during the season, or will you try to just stay, hey, man, totally focus on the task at hand and stay away from the booze?
Going into a bye week, we'll drink a lot. Like I was saying, the other thing, you ain't got to worry about that. So that's, a lot of guys kind of do that, kind of stay away from the painkillers, because eventually it just destroys your liver. And that's kind of, a big topic of debate now with the NFL. As far as that, yeah, man, but a lot of guys are pretty serious with their body. A lot of guys, stay away from the Gatorade, all the sugar in it, all the, they're pretty in particular with their diet. With me, I mean, I try to watch as much as I can, but then again, if you get too low in weight, you gotta get those carbs, you gotta get that sugar in. So it's different for everybody. But everybody has their different routines.
Last season, I guess what week was it? It was deep in the season. You had a concussion.
Yeah. Against the Cardinals.
All right, and then how long were you out for that?
Just for a week. It was a Thursday night. The next week was a Thursday night game, so I couldn't get cleared if I wanted to. I could have got cleared if it was a Sunday game, so I was out that week.
What was the feeling that you had when that had happened?
So what happened was I was watching my guy around the pocket. I tripped and fell, and then Peters, our left tackle, was watching this guy around, and his thigh came and hit me inside my head. And I played a few more series, and then I ended up going to one of my buddies. I can't remember if it was Zach or somebody. I was like, hey, man, I don't feel right. I just fell out of it, and then I went inside, and everything just kind of slowed down. It's almost kind of a buzz feeling. That's how I explain it. And then, you have your protocols now to where, it's a lot better than, smelling salts in and putting back on the field.
Going into this season, right now, you're in OTAs. How long will OTAs last? And then what will be the next step as far as getting into the season?
Yeah, so there's like 3 phases. The first phase is really just lifting. We'll do competition stuff, lifting. And then second phase is we're still lifting, and then we, do plays and stuff on air with the team. Then the third phase is whenever we can go against the defense, go against other bodies, and actually run plays. So we do that for, I think, until June 14th. And then you have from then, which is considered vacation time, till training camp. It's really not vacation. It's really get your ass to pay for the season. With me, I get real stressed out if I'm not around the weight room. If I know I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do, it's hard for me to relax. So, people talk about going on vacations. I want to hang out. I want to be at my gym. I want to be on top of my stuff. So, when the time comes, I know I'm prepared. I'm sure you probably felt the same way. Was there any difference in the OU strength training program versus right now the Philadelphia Eagles strength training program now that you're a pro? I'll tell you what, at OU, son, you ran like some cur dogs around that son of a bitch. I mean, I was lighter. I was probably 295 in college. So we ran a lot of zone schemes. I remember one game we played Oklahoma State. We ran 120 plays in one game. So we were in shape. I promise you that. We did a lot more running. Everything in the weight room, it wasn't take your time and focus on it. Even though we would throw around some weight, it was all about we're going to move fast. We're going to get the cardio in too. And then we did a lot of mobility stuff. But here in the pros, it's really they kind of organize it around you. If you're deficient in some areas, you get with the other guys that kind of have the same problem. You work with them, so it's probably really a lot more personalized. You have a lot more money in these guys, and you have a lot more time. You don't have any school to attend to, and I'd say it's a lot better in the pros.
Hey man, before we end up, I went to the Super Bowl. You had those dog masks made, and you had that T-shirt made, but that went to a worthy cause.
Cool.
Yeah. Talk to me about that for a second, because the people from your hometown weren't surprised to see you, doing what you're doing in Philly.
Yeah. So basically, me and Chris Long are good buddies. So we were sitting at the lunch table. We were all talking about underdogs this, underdogs that. So we talked about get an underdog mask. I went online and found what I thought was the hell an underdog looked like, and it was a Halloween dog mask. I went on, bought that sumbitch, bought 2 of them, and I gave them to Jason Peters, and I said, if we win this game, you give me that mask and get Chris his mask. And as soon as that happened, after we won that game, we put that sumbitch on and started walking around, and it just took off. The whole concept, the whole city, it was something to get behind, and then. Well, really, it raised a lot of money for the shirts. The reason why I'm doing this for Philly is, every year, ever since I got here, we have like a playground build. We go to North City, really bad areas. They have no money. A lot of drugs around there. These kids don't have nothing. We go in there and we build a playground every year in these different areas, different school districts. So mine was just to raise money for the school district here. They don't have nothing, man, but they don't have the funds. So, if anything I can do to make this place better, I'm going to do it. Eventually, what I want to do, eventually going to get back to Kilgore and get back to my high school, get all that done. So that'll be in the near future too, man. Hey, how's Carson's knee coming along? He's way ahead of schedule. He's running around, he's throwing around. Sometimes they may have to haul him back some on what he does, but he's one of those guys. He's always pushing the envelope, and nobody's really works harder than that guy. He's the epitome of what that position's about. So. He's way ahead of schedule. Hopefully he'll be there week 1. Hey, man, on Twitter, you're at Lane Johnson 65. I just started following you a while ago. Is there any other social media guide or website or anything else you want to talk about? That's it. A lot of times during the season, I take that away. I get that to my marketing guy, Brian, who you talk to, so he makes sure I don't get it on there and say some stupid shit. Kind of. really just a distraction for me. But during the off season, I'll get on there a little bit. Got the Instagram. I really don't post a whole lot on there, but yeah, that's really all I got.
Hey man, it was a pleasure talking to you, Lane. And if we get a chance to meet each other in person, I look forward to seeing you.
Oh yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it.
This has been a Podcast One production. Download new episodes of The Steve Austin Show every Tuesday at PodcastOne.com. That's PodcastOne.com.
Yo, what's good? It's your boy, Big Brother Jake, a.k.a. Jake Warner, my government name. Check it out. I host a show called the Big Brother Jake Podcast, and I've taken my talents to the biggest and baddest platform on the planet. That's right, baby, Podcast One. My show is unique as I talk about everything. Life, sports, entertainment, being a single dad juggling several jobs. I'm a hot mess, but it's damn entertaining. Subscribe and review now on Apple Podcasts and listen on Podcast One or wherever you get your podcasts.